Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my Iowa Hawkeye football predictions for the 2020 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate if you do that. I do have a subscriber goal of 500 subscribers, which I'd love to hit by August 29th. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. You will not regret it. Iowa last year won 10 games. They went 10-3 with a win in the Holiday Bowl over USC. They lose a lot, though. They do lose a lot. I won't get into that, but let's see if Iowa can repeat and get to that 10-win mark. So let's first look at the things I like about the Iowa Hawkeyes this year. Kirk Ferentz. Now listen, Kirk Ferentz as the most tenure and most consistent coach in college football. And by the way, let me get into this whole thing like Kirk Ferentz is on the hot seat. He should lose his job. Whoever's saying that, I think is factually just incorrect. I think Kirk Ferentz, I don't think his job's in jeopardy at all. I know about the incident. They took care of that. The strength coach had to find a new strength and conditioning coach. But, I mean, they're not really. I mean, he did nothing wrong. Okay, just like Mike Gundy, he did really nothing wrong, in my opinion. So, and I think in public opinion, Kirk Ferentz didn't do anything wrong. So, anybody who thinks Kirk Ferentz should be on the hot seat, I strongly disagree with you. If anything, he's one of the safest coaches in the country. But Kirk Ferentz, I think I think he's a very good head coach. I think he's a very strong. I think he is definitely a pro for Iowa. That's a good thing for Iowa. Defense. Your defense, I think, is going to be pretty good this year. It was pretty good last year. I think it stays about the same. I know you guys lose a little bit defensively, but Iowa always seems to have a good defense. They always coach up pretty well, so I'm going to go ahead and say that defense is going to be pretty good again this year. Things I don't like, the schedule. The schedule's pretty brutal. I mean, you look at the schedule. I mean, first of all, you get the two big boys out of the East, Ohio State and Penn State. Then you also get Minnesota and Wisconsin in your own conference. Iowa State is improving. The other team to get out of the East is Michigan State. I'm not high on Michigan State at all, but you get Ohio State and Penn State both on the road in back-to-back games. That is brutal as far as I'm concerned. At Minnesota on Friday night, I personally don't like that game being on Friday night. I think at Purdue's not going to be a give me. Wisconsin's going to be a tough game. I mean, you guys have some pretty tough games on this schedule, so that's why I said your schedule is a thing that I don't like, and you lose a lot of talent, especially offensively. You guys lose a lot of talent. So overall, I think losing talent is going to be an issue for you guys this year. Three toughest games: Ohio State, Penn State, Minnesota. Ohio State is a top 3 team in the country. Penn State is a top 10 team in the country. You get them both back to back on the road. Good luck in that. And then I put Minnesota Friday night game on the road. I'm high on the Minnesota going in Gophers this year. You get them Friday night on the road. I do not like that game being on Friday night. I don't think that's fair to Iowa at all, actually. So that's your third toughest game. Your 3 easiest games: Northern Iowa, Northern Illinois, and Illinois. Northern Iowa, yes, they had a very competitive game. They took them to overtime, actually. Iowa State last year. We'll see what you guys do against them, but they're FCS school. But they're one of the top 10, 15 FCS schools. So keep that in mind. Northern Illinois, listen, I know they had they took a bit of a backseat last year, Northern Illinois, but I put that as your that's your week 4 game. I put that as your second easiest game. It's a max score. I expect you guys to beat them. And then Illinois, I know they made a bowl game last year, but I do think you guys will take a step back against Illinois. Not take a step back against Illinois. I said that wrong. I do think Illinois is going to take a step back. I think that was a fluke last year. I really do. I think that's your third easiest game. Even Northwestern, even though you get them on the road, you get them after a bye week. So, and the way you get them on the schedule, I think that's your third easiest games. Best case and worst case scenario. Your best case scenario is 9-3. Listen, this schedule is really tough. You get your 3 toughest games are all on the road. As I said, there's at least 3 other games on the schedule that I don't think are complete give me's. It's going to be a tough season. Let's say you do beat Minnesota on the road. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think you're beating Ohio State on the road. I just don't. But let's say you beat Penn State and Minnesota on the road. I think you turn around probably lose at least 2 other games somewhere else. So I think your best case scenario is 9-3. Worst case scenario 5-7. I can see a scenario you guys don't make a bowl game. As I said, Northern Iowa gave Iowa State troubles last year. You guys lost to North Dakota State before, so I'm gonna say that that's not an absolute 100% give me. Iowa State, I think that's a toss-up. At Minnesota, I think you guys are underdog in. At Ohio State, at Penn State, Northwestern. Some people think Northwestern can make it. It's going to make a big jump this year. Last year was a fluke. At Illinois, I know that's your third easiest game, but Wisconsin went in there and went ahead and lost them last year. Nebraska, people think could improve, and at Purdue and Wisconsin, there's a lot of games that I think are losable here for Iowa. So that's why I said worst case scenario 5-7. But overall, I think it's going to be at least a very competitive season for Iowa. So let's look at the schedule. Here's the schedule right here in front of you. Let's jump into game number 1, Northern Iowa at home. As I said last year, Northern Iowa, they took Iowa State, I think, to double overtime, I believe, last year. I expect you guys to get the win, but I think this game's going to be a bit competitive. I really do. Northern Iowa is a top 10, 15 FCS school. I really think this game is going to be a bit competitive, and also it's an in-state game, which I also think is part makes it kind of competitive because you're recruiting inside the state. Most of these FCS schools recruit inside the state, and this is like high school rivals going at each other. So I do think it's gonna be a somewhat of a competitive game, at least in the first half. But I think Iowa pulls away and wins it by 2-3 touchdowns. Next game, Iowa State. I already did an Iowa State football prediction video, so go check that out. Iowa State, in my opinion, is probably like a borderline top 25-ish team. I do think that there is a potential for them being a top 25 team. Same thing with Iowa. I think they're a top 25-ish team, but I think there's potential there. To me, this is a toss-up game. Okay, Iowa State hasn't won in 6-7 years. I think Iowa's gonna win it because I think it's at home. If this game was not at Kinnick Stadium and if it was in Ames, I forget what they call the stadium at Iowa State, I will pick Iowa State. But since this game's at home, I'm giving it to Iowa. And guys, get your in-state rivalry win there. Next game at Minnesota. This is a Friday night game. I do not like this game being a Friday night game. To me, this is a potential top 25 matchup, and I don't think top 25 matchups should be weeknight games at all. So at Minnesota, week 3. I already did the Minnesota football prediction video. I think you guys are losing this game, primarily because you're on the road on a weeknight. And I know you guys beat them last year. I mean, I'm very high on Minnesota though, I'm primarily picking Minnesota on this one because it's a weeknight game. I really do not like this game being a weeknight game at all. As a college football fan, I think this game could stand alone in week 3, honestly. So we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys the loss in this one. By the way, the goal is to get the record correct, not the game by game predictions correct. Next game, Northern Illinois at home. Win. They're a MAC team. I think they're going to improve some this year from last year. I think last year was a bit of a fluke. They're usually one of the best teams in the MAC. But I think you guys get a win, especially at home. We'll see what happens. This game might be a bit competitive in the first half, sort of like that Northern Iowa game. But I think at the end of the day, I think you guys come away with the victory there. Bounce back win after losing on the road to Minnesota. Next game, Michigan State. I am not high on Michigan State at all. I think Michigan State might be the second worst team in the Big Ten, honestly. I think you guys win this game, especially at home. I actually think you guys dominate them. I really do not have a good feeling about Michigan State in 2020 or 2021 or 2021 and 2022, matter of fact. Bit of a tongue twister there. I'm really not high on Michigan State. And especially at home, I'll give you guys. I think you guys probably beat them by 17 to 24 points. If this game was on the road, I think it's maybe a bit closer than that. But I think overall, you guys are a better team. I'm giving you guys the win there. Next game at Ohio State, loss. I said that a few minutes ago. I don't think you go into Ohio State and beat them. Now, I am interested to see how you guys play against them. I know last time when you guys teed off in Kinnick Stadium, you guys beat them. But I am interested to see how a team like Iowa plays against them because I don't think Kirk Ferentz is going to get his ass handed to them. I just don't. I don't think Iowa's going to get their asses handed to them in this game, but I do think at the end probably a 21 to 24 point victory here for Ohio State. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Buckeyes over the Hawkeyes. And by the way, I did the Ohio State football prediction video, so go check that out. I also did the Penn State football prediction video. And unfortunately for Iowa fans, I just think you go on the road. I think you play a tough game, but I think at the end you just come up a bit short against them. You always seem to come up a bit short against Penn State. I don't know why. I think that happens again. I think you guys probably lose this game by 7 to 10 points. I think it's kind of low scoring, but overall, I think Penn State is just a much better team than you guys. I think they're a top 10 team. I think you guys are a top 25 ish team. And I just feel like Penn State is going to go ahead and beat you guys, especially there at Happy Valley. So, next game, Northwestern. Back-to-back road games. You come home against Northwestern. That you guys are going to be pretty banged up. I think you guys are going to get off to a very slow start this game. I really do. But I think the second half comes around, I think you guys start playing better. And maybe a come from behind win against Northwestern. I think you guys come away with the win. You make a play or two more than Northwestern and get the win and survive that game. And probably a much needed win for you guys after a 2 game losing streak. So then you go into your bye week. You're going into your bye week at 5-3. You're coming out of your bye week at Illinois. As I said, I think last year's Illinois team was a fluke. Uh, this year, I think they are taking a step back. And I know it's on the road, but I'm going with Iowa. I think you guys beat them. You guys are coming off a bye. I think overall you guys are a better team than Illinois. And I think you guys go ahead and beat them probably by about 2 touchdowns, honestly. I'm pretty sold that Illinois is going to take a step back this year. Probably one of the worst 3 teams in the Big Ten. Next game, Nebraska at home. Nebraska during this stretch is going to be going through a very tough stretch of their schedule. They're going to be pretty banged up. The game's at home. I think you guys get the victory here, primarily because Nebraska is going to be pretty banged up. And I also think you guys are a bit of a better team than them. I think this game might be a bit of a bigger margin than what is expected. But overall, I do think you guys beat Nebraska. I just think you're the better team, and they're going to be pretty banged up. So it's going to be a competitive game, but I think you guys come away with the win. Next game at Purdue. Purdue is a team that was very banged up. Had a lot of injuries last year. I think they're going to be a lot better this year. The game is in Purdue. I actually went back and forth for this one because I don't think there's really much of a big difference between these 2 teams. I think Iowa's maybe a bit better than Purdue, but that's it. I think you guys might come in as a bit of a favor in this one, but I'm going to give it to Purdue. Purdue, in my opinion, Rondale Moore, that offense should be clicking. I know that defense isn't really that good, but I like Coach Brom there. I think the game's in Purdue. I think Purdue pulls off a minor upset against you guys and gets the win. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Purdue in that one. Final game of the season against Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a team, in my opinion, that's going to be competing for that Big Ten West division to get to the Big Ten championship game along with Minnesota and maybe you guys. The game is in Iowa. I know you guys have a lot of trouble beating them. This game's going to be a back and forth game, in my opinion. It's in Kinnick Stadium. I think Iowa, they're 7-4. They're going to be looking to maybe get a big win here to go into bowl season. I think you guys get the job done. And I think you guys go ahead and beat Wisconsin for the first. I think you guys only beat them like once in the past 12 years or something like that. But I think you guys get the win here because I think you get them at the right time. That's primarily why end of the season. Wisconsin, they might be out of it. They might have everything already locked up. Who knows? But I think you guys go ahead and beat them and get that win there against Wisconsin. So if you count up all the wins and losses, I have Iowa going 8-4 with a 5-4 conference record. 8-4 with a 5-4 conference record. Not good enough to win the Big Ten West, but still a pretty good season. I don't think you guys get to 10 wins this year. I just don't. But I think you guys can get to 9 wins this year with the bowl wins. So we'll see what happens in your bowl game. You'll get into probably one of the better bowl games for a Big Ten team. Maybe the Holiday Bowl again. We'll see where you guys end up. But overall, I'm going to go 8-4 with a 5-4 conference record. Thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate if you do that. Miami football predictions tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. McD the Beast signing off.